they go right through a MERV air filter. Right through it. So,
Can we just
yeah.
be here for a second? Does anybody know what a micron is? How small a micron is? 1 millionth of a millimeter. You know how big a millimeter is, right? 1 millionth of a millimeter. That's very effing small.
Very small. Yeah, no, thank you for that. And so micron is a measurement of size, right? In our world, and you will learn as you're going through school, when you're talking about pumping down a system, you have your vacuum pump, and you're having to pull down the system, they talk about how many microns you want to get down to make sure that system is cleaned out. So to put the size, the PM10 down to 2.5 into perspective, we all know how big a grain of sand is, right? If we look at it. Would you agree we could inhale a grain of sand? A grain of sand is about 90 micron in size. The human hair is about 75 micron in size. So if you think about PM10 down to 2.5, you can't see it. And the smaller it is, the deeper it goes into our lung cavity as we breathe it. It's the leading cause of emphysema, heart attack, stroke, asthma, COPD. This is why the health officials and the EPA are doing such a push to promote and every commercial building across our nation and residential, they want some sort of air cleaner. It's why they, for Title 24, and you guys, I'm sure we'll get to that at some point in schooling, they have taken the MERV rating of 8 and moved it to 13. Because the higher the MERV rating, the tighter the weave, which I don't want to go too far into it, but the tighter the weave, depending on how the system is, wreaks havoc on the system. So we are just drilling home we're trying to help reduce all of this when we're indoors. There is two quick stories. Both facilities, one is not a retirement home, but a healthcare facility, live-in healthcare facility, and the other is a preschool. Both of these facilities installed iwaves before the pandemic hit. None of us saw it coming, none of us knew it was going to happen, but they saw the value in cleaning the air in their facilities. 6 months into the pandemic at this assisted living center, 0 COVID cases, 0. And they were running an iWave 24/7. They saw the value in having indoor air quality. Preschool installed the iWave well before the pandemic started, and they decreased their absentee rate for sick kids by 85%. It's significant. It's why I wanted it in my house. Is all this making sense so far? So when it comes to pulling everything out of the air, the negative and positive ions don't only pull stuff out of the air or make it big enough to go back to the ventilation system. The negative and positive ions attack the hydrogen atom in these viruses and bacteria. And when that hydrogen atom is removed from that molecule, it can no longer live. It's the hydrogen atom that keeps it alive. By the negative and positive ions attacking this atom, it renders it inactive, eventually killing it. So we're not only cleaning the air, we're actually killing all the nasty crap that's up in the air that can do harm to us. Okay, so I try not to get too much into the pandemic, but it still may come up. When the pandemic started, there was a mad dash by everyone out there to have some sort of COVID kill claim. And so the EPA said, if your electronic device can have a reduction of human coronavirus 229E, you will then have a COVID reduction claim, because human coronavirus 229E is a strain of virus that's in SARS-CoV-2 that forms it into COVID-19. And so this is obviously the nasty one, right? So industry standard, human coronavirus 229E, we did the test on this little guy right here, which is the residential version. Everyone see that? And we did it for this because this was our bread and butter. We had it in the test chamber for an hour, and after an hour, we had a 90% reduction rate, or reduction of human coronavirus 229E. We were pumped, published it. Everyone else is out doing the same thing. Months later, one of the major airlines came to us and said, hey, we're very interested in the Big Daddy, in the iwave C. This is our commercial unit. We're going to see pictures and everything on this. And we were like, well, hold on, that's a really expensive test, and it's a much more dangerous test than the 229E. And so we worked with GPS and the airline to decide who's paying for what. The one thing that we made clear was we needed them to choose the lab in the United States, because whatever the test results were, we didn't want anyone to ever come back and say, oh, they probably just ran it in their own lab in St. Louis. Wasn't the case. So ran the test, 30 minutes in the time chamber, we had a 99.4% reduction rate of SARS-CoV-2, which is COVID-19. The only difference between the iwave R, which is your residential, and the iwave C is output. So this just puts out more ions than this. So that tells us, and we can't legally say it, but tells us that even with the iwave R, there will be some sort of SARS-CoV-2 reduction claim.
So it's exactly the same technology, just one's higher output than the
One
other.
puts out 4,800 CFM, the other puts out 2,400. And you'll see the, how many ions did I say per cubic centimeter on the coast and the mountains? Anyone remember?
85,000.
8,500. Close, yeah. Very, very good. Most people don't even remember the 85 part, so great job. So whenever we talk about this, right, you want to put your money where your mouth is. I can sit here and tell you all day all the cool stuff it does, but unless I can show you, it's just lip service, right? So on the left, you see a cylinder Tupperware with an iwave installed on top, a piece of wheat bread, and a little cup of water. On the right, exact same thing, no iwave. Thought process was, turn the iwave on, set them and forget them, come back in 14 days. So we came back in 14 days after running it. You can see the bread on the left still looks like wheat bread, and the bread on the right has clear, visible mold growth. So I give this class multiple times a week. And this isn't even like you guys think that all I do is just train. No, I actually, all of the wholesalers that you're going to be buying from are my customers. So I have to go there, I have to sell them product, I have to stock my own shelves and do all the things. This is my favorite part of my job, is being able to train. And so I was up at a big contractor in Sacramento area a couple weeks ago giving this class. And a lot of the big companies like your Bell Brothers, Bonnie, Sierra Pacific, all the big names that you see on TV all the time, they have me in their training regularly. And so I'm at Sierra Pacific, and one of the technicians had been through the class, and he raised his hand. I go, "What's up, dude?" And he goes, do you remember me? I go, "Yeah, I remember you sitting in my class. You were kind of giving me a bad time about this thing." He goes, "I did. I thought you were full of crap." And he goes, "So I went home and did it." And he goes, "I ran it for 30 days. And after 30 days, it still looked like this." And he goes, "Now I will tell you, I finally pulled the wheat bread out, and it no longer felt like wheat bread, but we did what we said it would do, and that's prevent the growth of mold and bacteria and virus." So I think that's a pretty cool test. And then again, I keep saying it, we clump it together, drop it out of the airstream, or bring it back. And why is it important to know that we're able to take these viruses and bacteria and bring them back to the air filter to get caught? You guys remember why? Because the PM10 down to 2.5 will go right through a mermaid air filter. So without technology getting all that stuff big enough to get caught, you're not cleaning the air. So that's the biggest reason. So iwave, yes, PCO, poor, UV lights, no. So UV only kills what it touches. We talked about that. It does nothing downstream. And when I say poor, PCO technology is great. I totally believe in it. I know it works. And basically because I'm a huge believer in hydrogen peroxide. So what we did is we took one of the leading commercial PCO technology and we installed it into an air handler in one of our product manager's house. We did it for a reason. We did it because we wanted to see, after running that product for 14 days, what the particle count would be in the house. And when we were done with that, we were going to install the iwave C side by side to see if, after that product did its job, would the particle count raise or would it lower by using ours. So we measured 0.3 micron, 2.5 micron, and 5 micron. On the 0.3, there was a particle count in the air of 10,549. Of the 2.5, 171, and 5 micron, 151.